Live.
Hey, it is Friday. Thank God. We are doing our best imitation of Pinky and the Brain. Pinky being me and the bigger, and the brain being Richard and smaller. We're having technical difficulties, and apparently I am too stupid to figure it out. So you're just gonna have to deal with it. The four people that watch
nobody needs to see my ugly mug anyway.
I can told you, man. They already know what we look like. It transferred over to the video too, or to the live stream. It doesn't look too bad if you got it on the tablet or bigger.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. As usual, I am Old New Dude, and he is
Richard York, Astro's trueborn son.
In response to today's John chapter, I have my House Dane shirt.
Oh, nice.
To wave at his Dane blood. My oldest son bought me these, so it's pretty cool. I wasn't gonna wear Old New Dude, but when he got these, I already wore House Blackwood yesterday.
Maybe we can go through this fairly quickly and talk a little more about House of the Dragon and how it applies to that.
Yeah, it's a short chapter.
Yeah.
As usual, Richard the Brains will start with what he sees with the chapter, and then I'll jump in with my stupid stuff. So take it away, Richard.
All right, so a brief summary would be that Alistair promotes 8 brothers, but Samuel is not among them. John is restless, so he goes for a ride and organizes his thoughts. John then makes his case to Maester Aemon for Samuel to be promoted. "You are as hopeless as any boys I have ever trained," Sir Alistair Thorne announced when they had all assembled in the yard. "Your hands were made for manure shovels, not for swords. If it were up to me, the lot of you would be set to herding swine. But last night I was told that Guerin, something like that, is marching 5 new boys up the King's Road. 1 or 2 may even be worth the price of piss. To make room for them, I've decided to pass 8 of you on to the Lord Commander to do with as he will." He called out the names one by one: Toad, Stonehead, Aurochs, Lover, Pimple, Monkey, Sirloon. Last, he looked at John, and the Bastard. Pip let fly a whoop and thrust his sword into the air. Sir Alistair fixed him with a reptile stare. "They will call you men of Night's Watch now, but you are bigger fools than the mummer's monkey here, if you believe that. You are boys still, green and stinking of summer, and when the winter comes, you will die like flies." Such encouragement.
Yeah, I might have been really wrong about him.
Thanks, Leo, for that.
I think it's just disgust. Huh?
Oh, Leo gave his own bark there. Okay. Some of the more important ones here are, the ones most people remember are going to be Eric's, which is Gren. Monkey, which is Pip. And Lover would be Darian, who Arya is going to kill after Samuel kicks his butt in Bravos. Yeah. So those are probably the most important. Stonehead is Halder. He's the one that with the yield on both of John's yield. John convincing him to yield and him trying to convince John to yield. That we talked about previously. Yeah. So anyway,
but just a quick thing. Alistair, even though he calls him Bastard, he's called Bastard throughout these stories over and over and over again, and he thinks they protest too much because you just call him Bastard all over the place. That's just screaming, "I'm not a bastard." That he's not a bastard.
Irony. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I think most people would agree with that. Even those who are R plus L equals J people are still going to probably think that Rhaegar is either a bigamist or got an annulment. I think the annulment idea is ridiculous in a story that's strongly implied to be about bigamy, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, if it is R plus L equals J, it is going to basically be a second marriage because the Targaryen customs of 2 wives, blah, blah, blah.
Right. There's lots of hints at bigamy, including in the, recently in House of the Dragon and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And as we've talked about, the whole concept of Yorks and Lancasters and secret bastards is about bigamy.
Yeah.
A deep restlessness was on him as he went back to Hardin's Tower for Ghost. The direwolf walked beside him to the stables. Some of the more skittish horses kicked at their stalls and laid back their ears as they entered. John saddled his mare, mounted, and rode out from Castle Black, south across the moonlit night. Ghost raced ahead of him, flying over the ground, gone in the blink of an eye. John let him go. A wolf needed to hunt. He had no destination in mind. He wanted only to ride. So he's restless, like the wolf's blood, and like his wolf here.
Yep. Hey, can we go back to the beginning just a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
John notices Samuel Tarley standing by himself beneath a bare, dead tree in the corner of the yard. Could that tree be a weirwood? And the narrator of the situation just doesn't say it?
Or it kind of represents winter and I think there's certainly dead tree symbolism kind of matches the concept of the weirwoods being chopped down or burned, and so forth. So either way, I think there's some symbolism there.
Yeah, well, you know me, I'm always looking for those hidden fingers, and there's two places in this chapter.
Well,
that was one of them.
And I think it's always worth remembering that we're specifically told that Bran will see well beyond the trees themselves. So even if you don't think Bran is the one pulling the strings, surely if Bloodraven has said that he can see well beyond the trees themselves, and he expects Bran to, you would think that any other opponent of theirs would also do that.
Right. Well, I'm looking for clues from George to let us know.
And that's what I'm saying. It's clearly there's some symbolism there.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Because she was a whore or an adulteress, fool, something dark and dishonorable, or else why was Lord Eddard too ashamed to speak of her? So this is pretty close. Dark and dishonorable, like bigamy and vow breaking.
Yeah.
John found himself thinking of Samuel Tarley again on the ride back. By the time he reached the stables, he knew what he must do. So Ghost might be part of the delivery system of the ideas here, but certainly somebody could easily be pulling strings. So maybe we should do your little hidden, pulling strings, hidden fingers gesture here.
Yeah.
Chad had a wen on his neck the size of a pigeon's egg and a face red with boils and pimples. So I'm just still on this kick about boils, rotten teeth, and dysentery always missing from these stories, as one recent reviewer claimed.
Yeah, since you've talked about that, I see it in every damn chapter now.
Right. That's my point. It's an invalid criticism of at least the books.
Yeah. Can we go back for just a second?
Yeah.
Okay. I know there's not a lot in this chapter, but by the time the moon was full again, he could be back in Winterfell with his brothers. Your half-brothers, a voice inside reminded him, and Lady Stark, who will not welcome you. That voice inside of him is not him. Because he's getting ready to go home. He's getting ready to head right down the King's Road back to Winterfell. He's all for it, and then boom, here comes his voice. And it's not him saying, I told myself, or my inner voice. It's a voice from within.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Inside.
Good catch. I like that.
Yeah.
Start a fire. I won't have the maester catching a chill on account of you. Sadly, the maester will catch a chill on account of John, but not until feast.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one until I read yours. I was like, damn it.
John had the logs crackling merrily by the time Chet led in Maester Aemon. So Jack Frost had the logs crackling merrily. It's very much a Christmas reference, right?
George is just a freaking master.
He took a deep breath to gather his thoughts. I remember once I asked Maester Luwin why he wore a chain around his throat. Maester Aemon touched his own collar lightly, his bony, wrinkled fingers stroking the heavy metal links. Go on. He told me that a maester's collar is made of chain to remind him that he has sworn to serve, John said, remembering. I asked why each link was a different metal. A silver chain would look much finer with his gray robes, I said. Maester Luwin laughed. A maester forges his chain with study, he told me. The different metals are each a different kind of learning. Gold for the study of money and accounts, silver for healing, iron for warcraft, and he said there were other meanings as well. The collar is supposed to remind a maester of the realm he serves. Isn't that so? Lords are gold and knights steel, but two links can't make a chain. You also need silver and iron and lead tin and copper and bronze and all the rest. And those are farmers and smiths and merchants and the like. A chain needs all sorts of metals, and a land needs all sorts of people. Maester Aemon smiled. And so the Night's Watch needs all sorts too. Why else have rangers and stewards and builders? Lord Randall couldn't make Sam a warrior, and Sir Alistair won't either. You can't hammer tin into iron, no matter how hard you beat it. But that doesn't mean tin is useless. And then a little later, I know one thing Sam could do better than anyone. Yes, Maester Aemon prompted. John glanced warily at Chet, standing beside the door, his boils red and angry. He could help you, he said quickly. He can do sums, and he knows how to read and write. I know Chet can't read, and Clytus has weak eyes. Sam read every book in his father's library. He'd be good with the ravens, too. Animals seemed to like him. Ghost took to him straight off. There's a lot he could do besides fighting. The Night's Watch needs every man. Why kill one to no end? Make use of him instead. Maester Aemon closed his eyes, and for a brief moment John was afraid that he'd gone to sleep. Finally, he said, Maester Lewin taught you well, Jon Snow. Your mind is as deft as your blade, it would seem. Does that mean? It means I shall think on what you have said, the Maester told him firmly. And now, I believe I am ready to sleep. Chet, show our young brother to the door. Different strokes from different folks.
Yeah, it's speeches like that just freaking make me love John.
Yeah. This is a really good moment, and I skipped over Chet's objections because they're not that good anyway. And B, we didn't want to quote the whole thing. It was a pretty long quote as it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Chet. What do you expect? It's a really good John chapter. Like I said, there's not a whole lot in there, but we do get those. Actually, it has something for both of us. Your bigamy and my hidden fingers. So
yep. And let's talk about House of the Dragon.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So somebody on Reddit pointed out that the most important page of Fire and Blood is page 204, which is long before the dance, long before anything depicted on the television show. So your assignment is to read page 204.
All right, let me write it down. I got the book right behind me.
Oh, okay. Pull it up if you can. I can pull it up.
I had it blocked. Hold on, 204?
Yeah. Somebody on Reddit was pointing this out.
All right, 204.
Okay, start to read like from the second paragraph or so. What's the first
second paragraph?
Yeah, what's it say? What's it say?
Let's see. City these ills, King Jaehaerys in 52 AC promulgated the widow's law, reaffirming the right of the eldest son or the eldest daughter where there was no son to inherit, but requiring said heirs to maintain surviving widows in the same condition they had enjoyed before their husband's death.
Keep going.
A lord's widow, but she, a second, third, or later wife, could no longer be driven from his castle, nor deprived of her servants, clothing, and income. The same law, however,
Here you go.
Here
you go. The most important sentence in the entire book. Keep going.
The same law, however, also forbade men from disinheriting their children by a first wife in order to bestow their land, seat, and property upon a later wife or her own children. Bam.
It's been the law for since the beginning of Jaehaerys' reign, and it's written in such a way that it was like coding in common practice as it always existed. Right? Mm-hmm. Because if you notice, it's about how the kids of the first wife tend to mistreat second, third, and fourth wives, implying that the kids from the first wife are the ones who would inherit, right?
Yeah.
And so this is codifying their rights and the fact that, yes, they do inherit everything. The second wife gets nothing. The second wife's kids get nothing. That the last daughter of the first wife comes before the first son of the second wife. Bam. This is how so so Gildane has so slanted the story with all his, everyone expected this, everyone knew this was the way it would go,
Right.
everyone knows the laws of gods and men say this. No, he's lying. He's lying. And Otto Hightower and Ryan Condal, unfortunately, have bought into the lies, right? The bias.
Yeah.
So if you've seen the preview of the next episode, you're going to have Otto making the ridiculous statement that by all laws of gods and men, that no, by all the laws of gods and men, the woman inherits. And the point is that this whole story is, as I keep saying, about the disinheritance of women and their erasure from history. Anyway, that's my point, right? This is what the books are about, is about how the patriarchy has erased women. No, even Arnulf and Cregan Karstark know that the Council 101 is BS.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, by that, I mean, that rule is being overlooked twice, though, right?
No,
Twice
sort of.
for the
Yeah.
queen that never
I mean,
was.
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that Rhaenys wouldn't come. Similarly, it's ridiculous that Rhaenys wouldn't come before
Viserys.
Before Viserys, yeah.
Right, Viserys.
Right. And in fact, but in so doing, it's weird because you see people claim, and I've even heard like David Lightberger claim that, oh, well, it makes sense that the Lords of Westeros would have done this because otherwise they would have disinherited themselves. No, they wouldn't have. They followed the laws that put Rhaenys in charge, right? It's universal everywhere. It's so universal that even Arnulf Karstark and Cregan Karstark think that 101 was BS. And their only argument is sure, everyone knows a daughter always comes before her uncle, but
right.
If I marry her or she's dead, then I can have the car hold, right?
Right.
It's not, oh, we're disinheriting her because as the Council of 101 clearly shows, no, nobody would ever do that, which is why, including Arnulf Karstark and Cregan Karstark.
Right.
And I don't know how many. I think there's like several times we're told a daughter comes before her uncle, 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 and as you just read, it is very clear that that the second wife's kids have no rights whatsoever, can never inherit, not unless everybody's dead.
That's true.
Anyway.
It didn't take the King Viserys, whatever his damn name is. He didn't have to proclaim her the heir. That law made her the heir over Daemon.
Well, the other thing is that actually is the norm. So if you look at the Targaryen history, I think there might be some line about how until he had kids, it was assumed that Aegon's sister wives were his heirs. But then you have Maegor specifically names a female heir publicly, and then he's followed, and I'm blanking on the name of who follows him before the old king, but he also specifically names a female heir publicly until he has kids. So you've had literally like 3 of the 4 Targaryens before Jaehaerys have publicly or implicitly had female heirs, and then he calls the Council of 101 when by all rights he has a female heir,
right? And
he seems to expect that he's getting everybody's endorsement of his female heir. And instead, it doesn't go that way because somebody somehow convinced him that he should do this, which was ridiculous. He should have just said, by all the laws of Westeros, as every king before me has named a female heir practically, or almost every king before me has named a female heir, I name my female heir, right? I mean, and so if you consider that to have been an attempt to get the lords to endorse a like third or fourth time out of 5 kings that a Targaryen has named a female heir. It's then basically almost every king up until Viserys has publicly named a female, or has either named or implied or attempted to name a female heir. And so people saying, oh, it's unprecedented, except for like almost every single king before him, it's unprecedented.
I mean, I haven't read the book, so I can't say that it's unprecedented, but are all the people saying that it's unprecedented? Have they read the books?
No, I'm talking about in the story. People are acting like it's unprecedented and so forth. But it's clearly precedented, right? And that's part of the point.
You got to start remembering, it's history. I know history is written by the winners, but if you're not a student of history and you don't learn from history, it's bound to be repeated.
Right.
Well, they're doing the exact same repeat. The deal between Viserys, Dagon, and Rhaenyra is the exact same thing almost as the Council of 101.
Well, and if Ashara Dane is Ned's first wife, then you're seeing this in the story with the Stark children having bastard identity crisis.
I didn't mean to cuss like that, but I didn't do it. Damn it, you done gave me goosebumps again.
That's my point. The whole thing ties together.
Oh,
and then on top of that, as we discussed, the whole thing looks a whole lot like Arianne and Trystane and the potential that you've got the claimant from the previous line married to the female heir of the last surviving male claimant, and you've got the female claimant of the current claim, if you do allow females, marrying the male heir of the last surviving male claimant if Tommen dies, right? You've got Stannis probably believed dead in active rebellion against the crown. So if Tommen dies, the next thing you've got is Myrcella, if females are allowed to inherit, Doran, if females aren't allowed to inherit, and then Doran has a named female heir and his and a younger son, right? And so you're seeing all these things repeat.
Dang. Like I said, George he loves the freaking circles repeating, and oh wow, dude, you like blown my mind today. I tell you, I got to read this book.
And then the other thing I thought was kind of interesting about the episode was that you know there's one mention of the idea that you're not supposed to hurt the white heart, which is Jane Poole and Sansa talking about Sansa claiming she had a dream of a Lannister golden arrow being used to hunt the White Hart. And what do we see? We see the Lannisters crafting a golden spear with almost an arrowhead of gold, right? And it's being used to hunt the White Hart. We've got the Drunken King hunting the White Hart. We've got the doing no harm. We've got the boar attack. And then you look at the I saw the Stepstones largely as an attempt to depict Dorne's successfully fending off the dragon, right? Like nobody's ever depicted Aegon's conquest, so it was an opportunity to sort of show, well, how could somebody win against a dragon? Well, we know how you win. You hunt, you hide in tunnels, right?
Yeah, I didn't catch that either. Damn. Huh. Well, they're right there at Dorne anyways. So.
Oh, and then the other thing is, if you notice when he stabs the boar, it almost looks like Biter's tongue, right? I think it was designed to come out through his. It might have even been designed to. So it was actually, I couldn't see if it was coming out of his mouth, but you could see the tip of the sword going all the way through and almost coming towards Rhaenyra. If you looked when he stabs the boar, you see his sword. I think it's supposed to remind us of Biter. Ooh. And then when she goes and stabs, that's kind of like Shagwell, laugh, but it's also a lot like Arya, right? Yeah. And Arya saying, where's the gold, where's Beric and all that, right? As she continues stabs. And if you look at the line where the Hound drags her off, it specifically says that that the Hound is covered in blood like a stuck pig.
Damn.
So there's kind of a reference to a dying pig there when Arya is doing her where's the gold, where's Beric, Lord Beric, and so forth.
I don't know. There's been
There we
some
got a
gripes
comment.
about. Oh, we did. Lady Thistle, yay! All right. Just so you know, that is Richard House York. He is the brains of the operation.
Thank you.
We thank you. You're like our third comment ever, so it's an honor. But man, I swear, it never fails. Toward the end of every single episode, you give me goosebumps on some of this stuff.
Well, up next we've got
Tyrion.
We got another comment. Hey, haha. We got Tyrion. Tyrion's gonna tell us about Tysha, and of course he's gonna offer the veil to the mountain clans, right?
Right. It's really good.
And I'm gonna have to explain to George how the moon works. Because
did you get it backwards there for a second?
Well, I mean, the way the moon works is that there's slightly more than there's 29 and a half days in a lunar cycle, so slightly more than 24. So the moon rises a little less than an hour later and sets a little less than an hour later each day, and the angle of the sun determines what you see, right? So when it's rising near sunset and setting near sunrise, you get a full moon. When it's rising near sunrise and setting near sunset, you get a new moon. When it's rising near traditional no time zones, no daylight savings time, high noon, and setting near traditional no time zones, no daylight savings time, midnight, you get if it rose at noon and set at midnight, you'd have a waxing moon. He, both in the next chapter and in the prologue, has a moon that's rising after sunset. So that would be a waning moon if it's rising after sunset. And he has a half moon in both of them, but he has them like rise right after sunset. So really, they should be rising at midnight.
Does he do this throughout the book or just this next chapter?
He does it in the prologue, and he does it again in the next chapter, where he has a half moon that sort of rises right after sunset.
Could this have anything to do with the? I know it's not a wobble of the planet that causes the seasons the way they are. But
the argument of this is supposed to be a long summer and they're in the north kind of thing, but the problem is Tyrion's not in the north. He's in the Vale.
Yeah, which I mean that's halfway to the north. I love having that big giant map there.
So in theory, the moon should be rising at midnight, but and I don't think he's intending these stories to be taking place shortly after midnight when he's telling us this.
No, was midnight the hour of the wolf?
It's not that explicitly stated out. There are several, and if you go to you can find the list out there, but so I don't know. I can't. One of them is defined as being the darkest. I think it might be the wolf. You may be right.
Okay. Well, I wish I don't know if you've watched the whole episode, Lady Thistle, but we do appreciate you stopping by.
Absolutely.
We try to keep these things at around 30 minutes because people got stuff to do.
This is just our lunch hour.
Yeah, this is lunch hour. So we appreciate you stopping by. Next chapter is Tyrion. Today is a Friday and always on a Friday. Please be careful. I don't care what you're doing, what's going on. Just take care of yourself. We would miss you if you weren't here. I would miss me if I wasn't here. So have a good weekend. Have a safe weekend.
Yeah. My brother has two of his students are hospitalized with COVID apparently, he's got hundreds of students though. He's a professor at major lectures and stuff, and but they're mostly
brains run in your family.
They're mostly. Oh, great! She did enjoy the whole stream.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it means a lot. It really does.
Yeah, can you convince everybody else that the widow's law would apply? help us to write. That was somebody brought that up on Reddit pretty recently, but
I will type that on Twitter and see if I can get people to spread that around.
Yeah, that's there's not enough people appreciating the fact that Otto is just plain wrong.
Yeah, well, people
Or,
like to remember what they want to remember.
yeah,
People like
and
to
I think
read what
I,
they.
I think the bias of Fire and Blood has basically convinced most of the fandom, including Ryan Condal, that the things don't work the way they actually work.
No, and on the Harris and the Council of 101, I believe it's his maester.
Yeah, that's
I
my
haven't
point.
read the
Somebody
book.
convinced him to hold that, and then they rigged the
Right,
election.
right,
Right?
right.
It's pretty clear because they list, they list sort of a random sample of houses, and it's basically running close to 50-50 as they list them, and then they claim it's 20-1, and it's like, yeah, BS, right?
Yeah,
I question whether they didn't actually list like everybody who was objecting. The logic, as I said, the logic that, oh well, they did this so that they wouldn't disinherit themselves, that's the opposite of correct, right?
yeah.
All of them have inherited under these rules of a daughter comes before her uncle. So and the widow's law, as we said. So
Was it to the 20-1 to where everybody that voted for her would think that they're the one and not say
yeah, I
anything?
mean, it was just a rumor. They didn't even announce the count,
Yeah.
which was even more suspicious.
Well, I guarantee you the one, if it was really a one, was probably Hal Stark.
Oh, they were definitely. He lists bunches of them as being in the supposedly one of the 20-1, which is why it doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
He lists a whole lot of houses supporting
I got to read
Rhaenys, the
Fire and
queen that
Blood.
never was, and so the idea that it's 20-1 is ridiculous. It's just a lie. It's obviously a rigged election.
All right, you've done this weekend in between working on vehicles, working on Jamie Lannister art, hanging out with kids and daughter. And I got to read Fire and Blood, at least up to where we are in
Yeah,
House
that'd be
of
good. So
Dragon.
you have the historical background without
Yeah,
going forward to spoil it, right? So at least read through page 204, the most important page.
yeah. All right, man, this has been a blast today. Thank you, Lady Thistle. I still got goosebumps from what you said earlier.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. Please take care. We will be back Monday with Tyrion. Right, Richard?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. As always, I have been Old New Dude.
And I've
He has
been
been.
Richard York, Asterisk Newborn Son.
Y'all have a good weekend. Stay safe. Bye. I hate this.